Alright, so let's start on the outside first.
I won't get your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't either.
Yeah, don't blackmail me. Don't blackmail me, please. Alright, okay, so here's the, this is the outer cortex. All this is outer cortex. We have the frontal lobe. We have the parietal lobe. We pull back, this is dura mater, so we pull that back, and this is the occipital lobe. And then we have temporal lobe.
Okay.
The separation between the frontal and parietal isn't completely clear.
Sulcus, but
It'd be the central sulcus, which I suspect is this. So that would make this the primary motor cortex, and this would be the primary somatosensory cortex. This is longitudinal fissure. Moving along to the inside, we still have frontal lobe and parietal lobe and occipital lobe. And then we go deep. We have this white matter tract that connects both sides of the brain. That's called the corpus callosum. Very good, corpus callosum.
when you bend it, then that's the...
We open it up, and what is that?
Lateral ventricle.
Lateral ventricle, right. Lateral ventricle, which spans both sides of the brain. The corpus callosum connects both sides of the brain. We go deeper, and we're in the diencephalon region. The diencephalon region consists of
the thalamus,
so this is the thalamus, hypothalamic region, which is right here, epithalamic region, which is right there, and then this structure that's stuck, that's part of the pineal gland. Yeah. The very, very center is the isthmus of thalamus. Isthmus of thalamus is the structure that connects both thalamic lobes. In both thalamic lobes, there's one thalamic lobe on one side. This is the left thalamic lobe on the left side of the diencephalon. This is the isthmus of that thalamus that would therefore connect it to the right thalamic lobe. This structure right here is part of cranial nerve 2. Specifically, this is the optic chiasma. Optic chiasma. This is the tract of optic tract, yeah. Or cranial nerve 2. This is pituitary gland. So we keep going inferiorly on the brain, and we run into these structures right here: superior colliculus, inferior colliculus. There's 4 of these structures, so together it's called the corpora quadrigemina. The superior colliculus is responsible for excellent visual reflexes, like from a flash of light, for example. The inferior colliculus is responsible for auditory reflexes, like a booming sound, for example, like a bomb going off. This superior and inferior colliculus is the landmark to identify midbrain. So now we know we're in midbrain. This is the midbrain structures.
So the superior and inferior is the one that separates the midbrain? Or that you know you're getting to the midbrain?
Right, so the superior and inferior colliculus is your landmark that tells you you are in midbrain.
In midbrain, okay.
You are in midbrain. Because when you look ventrally, it's hard to tell unless you see the pons. And this is the pons starting from here all the way to about there. So this is the pons. Posterior to the pons, we have this gap right here. That is the
Ventricle
fourth
form.
ventricle. Fourth ventricle, that's correct. Fourth ventricle. So now we've just mentioned two ventricles. Going up to the top, we have the
Lateral.
lateral ventricle. The diencephalon is third ventricle and fourth ventricle in that order. Cerebrospinal fluid is created in all three, mostly though in lateral ventricle, and it flows inferiorly to fourth ventricle, and then all the way down through the spinal cord, and then back up again.
Professor, when does the third ventricle?
Third ventricle is deceiving. You don't necessarily see any gaps within the tissue. However, you need to keep in mind that the third ventricle encompasses the thalamic region. So this whole area right here surrounding the thalamus is encompassing the third ventricle.
Okay, so that whole part it's where the,
This is all where third ventricle will be.
okay,
Right. Right. Third ventricle will be here.
and the
then
spinal
here.
fluid flows through around,
Lateral.
well,
Right.
not down, but
It goes
inferior.
from, right, so it starts in the lateral ventricle, flows to third, and then to fourth.
Okay.
And then it keeps going inferiorly and comes back up again. Remember, you have choroid plexuses everywhere within these ventricles that allow you to produce that cerebrospinal fluid from blood plasma. What are those choroid plexuses lined with?
Ependymal.
Excellent. That's right, ependymal cells. Ependymal cells. And then finally, beyond the pons, in most inferior structure right here would be the, that's right, medulla oblongata. One hindbrain structure we forgot to mention here is the cerebellum. This is the cerebellum from the outside, and we have the cerebellum from the inside, separated into white and gray matter. This white matter tract connects the pons to the cortex. This is called the arbor vitae, which is responsible for body positioning, balance, and muscle tone.
Is that the tree of life you said?
Tree of life, exactly. Arbor vitae, tree of life.